After appearing in only 9 games during the 2024 NBA season, it seems like a fair amount of NBA fans might have forgotten just how good Ja Morant is. Not only is he one of the league's most explosive athletes, but he's also one of the most dynamic passers. When you mix the superhuman athleticism and downhill speed with the vision and accuracy that Ja Morant has as a passer, you get a fireball on offense that's nearly impossible to contain and even harder to predict. One of the deadliest parts of Ja Morant's game is the fact that he basically forces you to send 2 on the ball the second it looks like he's about to get going downhill. As a defense, you're basically required to show another body if it looks like the first line of defense isn't going to be able to contain him. Unfortunately, for opposing defenses, Ja Morant is very aware of this, and he uses it to his advantage, and he doesn't even need to see Jaren Jackson Jr. here to know that he's going to be somewhere around the rim, and he's able to throw him this lob to send it home. Opposing defenses usually have to send the double pretty early on in Morant's drives in order to have a good chance of slowing him down. But it's a double-edged sword because they'll oftentimes find themselves being left susceptible to backdoor cuts that you're powerless to stop. This play, you can really see him get the defense right where he wants them, with the trap coming really aggressively from the free throw line, but he's going to pull out instead of committing to the straight line drive. And since he has 2 defenders on him and Williams is relocating to the strong side from the weak side, there's only going to be 2 defenders for the 3 players on the weak side. So he pulls out, prompting this recovery to the perimeter, and with the defense focused on the corner pass and not Jaren Jackson Jr. in the middle of the floor, Ja can capitalize on this opening that he's created to get an easy 2 points. Steven Adams is going to set him up perfectly to attack Plumlee, but the important part of this play to notice is Roddy calling for him to get the ball to the corner to Brooks, since Roddy is going to be setting this pin-in screen. He takes the ball all the way down inside the paint, pulling Oubre in and Smith Jr. towards him, and it looks like he's going to put up a shot, so the defense essentially just gives up. But Ja turns what would have been 2 points into 3 points by sending it to Brooks in the corner for the 3. Outside of simply putting the ball in the basket, you can boil offense down to a game of numbers. You're trying to get 2 players on the ball as much as you can so that you can create a numbers advantage and thus make it easier to score. And Ja is one of the best in the league at forcing you to put 2 on the ball. He's masterful at manipulating defenses to maximize a numbers advantage, with the Grizzlies getting a 3-on-2 in transition, and he turns his head to look at Jones, getting Wood to flip his hips away from Conchar, and Tim Hardaway Jr. has no chance of stopping him on his way to the rim. He fakes on this play like he's going to make this entry pass over the top of the defense to Steven Adams, and this subtle fake is enough to pull Poku away from Conchar in the corner, and that just opens up the chance for Ja to rifle it to him for the catch and shoot 3. These transition opportunities are really valuable because with his speed, whenever he's the one getting the offensive rebound, you can get out and run and find yourself with a 3-on-2 relatively often, and he's going to be able to capitalize on those chances more often than not. This is a phenomenon that we saw with Russell Westbrook, where it was really important for him to get the rebound as often as possible, or for the rebounder to get him the ball as quickly as possible, so that you can maximize your chance of getting a numbers advantage in transition. One of the less noticeable parts of Ja's talent that helps make him such a difficult player to guard is the fact that he can keep his dribble alive for so long. Next time you're watching a game and you find yourself underwhelmed with a point guard, try to see if they're picking up their dribble too early. The best guards in the league are guys that can keep their dribble alive for as long as possible, allowing them to keep a defense drawn to them and unable to recover when they initially look to find an open teammate. Prince seems to do okay here, forcing Morant into the strong side help from McLaughlin, but he changes his driving angle so abruptly, cutting in front of Prince and now drawing attention from Edwards, and Reed was already waiting to provide help in the paint on the drive, and this extra dribble that he took in front of Prince pulled the defense all the way in below the free throw line, creating a wide open look from 3. These high traps that teams send are really risky because the way that you mitigate their impact as an offense is by having a guard that can keep their dribble alive when those traps come. And that's something Ja Morant is extremely good at. It gives Bane time to pull his defender away from the weak side corner, and Tillman is able to then flash for the pass, leaving AD in a really difficult spot defending what is essentially turned into a 2-on-1. As a high-volume driver, it's extremely important to be leveraging that driving ability into passing opportunities, especially when you're as athletic as Ja Morant. Unsurprisingly, Ja ranks very highly in drives per game, clocking the second most per game in the NBA during the 2023 NBA season, and he recorded the fifth most assists off of drives. And of course, we're kind of burying the lead here if we don't talk about Ja Morant's scoring ability at the rim. He ranked second in drives per game and second in field goal attempts on drives during the 2023 season, and his field goal percentage at the rim comes in at 62%, which is only in the 52nd percentile among point guards. But his rim field goal attempt frequency comes in at 40%, which is in the 93rd percentile for point guards. So while his efficiency at the rim may seem relatively underwhelming, it's important to take into consideration a multitude of factors when trying to ascertain the value of his interior scoring ability. For one, you have to look at the difficulty of his shots at the rim. Ja Morant isn't the beneficiary of one of his teammates demanding a ton of defensive attention. He is the one demanding significant amounts of defensive attention. Yet, despite this, he still manages to generate a ton of his points at the rim. When I see his efficiency, I'm not surprised that it's not higher, because when you watch the film of him constantly driving into double coverage and hitting some of the most miraculous layups that you've ever seen, you end up walking away surprised that his efficiency isn't lower. Now, that isn't to say that he doesn't take some ill-advised shots at the rim sometimes, but considering how much he's impacting their offense, I'd say that you live with it. With him on the floor in 2023, the Grizzlies clocked an offensive rating of 117.2, but with him off the floor, that dropped to a 115.3. A 1.9 point swing may not sound like very much, but during that season, that was the difference between being a nearly top 5 offense with him on and being just barely a league average offense with him off. And for as great of a player as Ja is, I really don't think we've scratched the surface of what he theoretically could be in the future. For example, even though he's strung together improved stretches of shooting, he's still not quite where you'd want him to be as an overall shooter, and he's still a ways away from being what could be considered a 3-level scorer. His in-between game has come quite a long way, with his long mid-range shooting taking a significant leap last year, hitting them at a nearly league average rate. This part of his game could really open up even more opportunities for him. We know that he's got the driving ability and that he can use that explosive quick first step to get going downhill and get defenders backpedaling. Now, if he can incorporate some solid deceleration into the mix, paired with even just a league average efficiency mid-range game, then all of a sudden, defenders are going to have their hands full figuring out whether they need to worry about him going to the basket or stopping and popping for shots. Plus, the Grizzlies are going to be adding 𝙖𝙗𝙤𝙪, and there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be looking to exploit the possibility for an electric two-man game for him and Ja in the pick and roll. Most of the time, you'll see teams showing two bodies to Ja on the pick and roll, hoping that somebody is there to tag whoever's rolling. But considering the wingspan and height of 𝙖𝙗𝙤𝙪 and Ja's passing ability now to go along with it, defenses are going to have to get even more creative with how they try to contain not just the threat of Morant getting to the rim and finishing, but also making sure that you're equipped to stop a literal giant on the roll. This is where more of an in-between game is going to be really important for Ja's progression, because teams are almost going to be required to defend Ja Morant with drop coverage when he's running with 𝙗𝙗𝙁. If Ja can make use of that spacing that drop coverage surrenders, then it'll create even more problems that the defense has to solve in real time and make Ja Morant even more of a dynamic offensive engine than he already is. He has already improved so much as a player in such a short amount of time. And the craziest part is that I don't think he's really even close to being done getting better. He's going to be coming back to a Grizzlies team that's much improved now compared to where they were without him. Desmond Bane has grown into a reliable second option. Jaren Jackson Jr. has had the chance to explore the other dimensions of his game to see what else he's capable of. They're adding 𝙖𝙗𝙤𝙪 to give Ja another DHO hub and roll man, and the complementary pieces are here on the team for Ja to come back and have more to work with than he ever has before. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you want to see more stuff like this. It seriously helps me out so much. Regardless, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.